welcome to an all new episode of Men and Women Talk, the Mars Venus Show. I am your host, Kente, all the way from Los Angeles, California. And this is a special episode number 117. Now, normally we're on Mondays, but this lady is so special, we had to do a special program for her. So before we get into who our wonderful guest is, let me introduce my beautiful co-host, the one and only Shannon. How you doing, Shannon?
Hi, Kente V. Ferguson. I am great. How are you?
I am doing very good. I feel good. It's a beautiful day in Los Angeles. I was driving down the street. I was listening to music, and I realized, man, I'm a lucky dude. I live in a great city and have great things going on. And I knew later tonight this night I'd be talking to two wonderful ladies. So I'm feeling really good.
Okay, look at you, big pimpin'.
All right. So let's introduce our guests. Now, this young lady has been on Mars Venus before as a panelist. So this will be her first time in the one-on-one hot seat. And we always say that on Mars Venus, somebody's getting arrested or we always save the one-on-one for our special guest. So actually, our last one-on-one was Alan Roger Curry. So
it was.
So
wow.
Yeah. So and you guys were on once before together. So
yes. Yes, we were. Oh Lord.
Yeah, that was a great one. We got to do that again. We definitely. All right. So this lady, she's a sensual energy alchemist. And Maisha. How are you doing, Maisha?
Hi, how are you?
Excellent. I'm doing great, and I'm so happy to have you back on. Last night, we did an episode called Let's Talk About Sex. And we had a panel together, and we talked about a lot of different things. We talked about who first gave us game about sex. We talked about enhancements in the bedroom that could possibly help out. We talked about just different things, the good, the bad, and sometimes ugly that can happen in the bedroom. And I felt like tonight to have an expert come in and really give us some good game, I think is what needs to happen. So we've had you on, but never really got to the root of who you are. So in tradition on indie radio, when someone's first time actually being a guest, we like to start off in the beginning. So where are you from originally?
New York City.
New York City. All right. Yes. Where you reside presently?
That is correct.
Yes. So what borough?
Manhattan, Harlem.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. All right.
Yeah.
Now, were you one of those people at a very young age that knew what you wanted in life?
In which aspect of life? Like knew what I wanted to do as a profession?
Profession, yeah.
So yes, I always knew I wanted to help people. I started out wanting to be a psychiatrist when I was 11 years old until I found out that I had to go to medical school, and I did not want to do that. So I asked the career person that came to my school, well, what could I do that's not a psychiatrist, but the same thing? And they said a psychologist. And I said, that sounds good. And so from the age of 11, I knew that I wanted to major in psychology because I was always fascinated at why people do what they do, why they think, how they think, just the behavior in general, human behavior. And so that's, yes, I guess from the beginning, I knew I wanted to help people be better.
Okay. And that's interesting because a lot of us are takers. A lot of us are takers, right? So to be a giver, it takes a special person.
Mm-hmm. And thank you.
So where did that come from, you think, that just wanting to be a giver?
Pain, trauma. No, I'm the oldest of three. I mean, I'm a Virgo. I've always been the person to, put pieces together. I've always been the center, the person who was the rock in the middle of the storm. I've always been that. just real quick. When I was like, I think I was 9. I had to be about 8 or 9, and my sister and I were at this camp. We lived in Brooklyn at the time. We went to an amusement park, and my parents had given us some money, and there were kids who didn't have enough money to get on the rides, and so I kept giving our money to the other kids so that they could get on rides too. My sister was pissed. I mean, we had enough to like get on a couple of rides, but we had more money, and she's just like, "Why you keep giving our money away?" I was like, "So they can get on rides too." So I've just always been that way, I guess.
Oh, that's what's up. Now, when you went to high school, what was that like? And was it a high school that really helped you reach to what you were trying to get to, or did you find yourself in high school? What was your?
We're gonna be all in your business.
So I went to boarding school in New England, and it was quite an interesting experience. It was like so different from New York City. And I came back talking like that, and my mother was like, "Stop." No, so I went to boarding school. I went through a scholarship program for academics, so I was a little bit of a smarty. I was valedictorian in the 6th grade, salutatorian in the 8th grade. So a little brain to go along with the sex. I give good head either way. And so boarding school was fun. I liked it. It was like going away to college at 14. I was pretty much on my own. Had to figure out how to, live my life. My parents weren't there. I mean, we were, teachers, but I was in a dorm with other girls and, navigated that way. In so many ways, it was a really great experience. I wanted to go to boarding school since I was a kid. I saw the facts of life. I wanted to be Tootie. And I kind of was, because there were only but so many brown folks there. So, but when I saw Facts of Life, I thought it was fake. I was like, wow, that's really not real. And I was like, oh my God, there's really boarding school. And so when I got the chance to be in that program and they were looking at day school versus boarding school, I was like, no, I want to go away. Like, I knew that I wanted to do that, and I was happy to go. So high school was that experience shaped a lot of, I think, what makes me unique in many ways in what I do. My mindset is a little different maybe from some of the other larger pieces of my community or community of color, because I was around so many other cultures, as a teenager, and different ways of thinking.
What was that? So you said that when you came back, you were talking differently, and your mom was kind of getting on you. What about like the people from the neighborhood? How was they treating you?
So my parents never sent us to school in our neighborhood. Oh. We never went to school in Harlem. My brother and sister went to school on the Upper West Side. We fluctuated between private school and public school. My sister went to Brooklyn Tech in Brooklyn. My brother ended up going to boarding school in outside Boston. So I didn't really know people in New York. I didn't, have tons of friends in the city or anything like that. So we were literally the kids that kind of went in the building, came out the building. We were the good kids, except for the one guy who lived in my building that I was messing around with. But still, I was like the good girl. So, it was that type of thing. So.
Okay. All right. I went to private school up until high school as well. So, but I didn't go to boarding school. I went to a religious school. So, yeah.
God bless you.
No, it was really, it was a great experience because it was an all black school. And so it was a Church of God in Christ. I don't know, you guys.
Okay.
West Angeles.
I've heard of that.
Right. West Angeles. I mean, I've had some real interesting experiences that one day maybe I'll talk about on the show. But it was a good experience. And then I'm glad though I went to public school for high school because I felt like I needed that, so. Yeah.
My first school was actually an African-centered school.
Oh, nice.
The first school I ever went to was called Weusi Shule. And I went there for when I was 5 and 6 years old. And we had uniforms, we had a uniform, and the teachers were Baba and Mama, and we learned Swahili. I learned how to use an abacus. So that was my first school experience, was actually being in an African-centered school.
Very nice.
So now let's transition to your current career. I know we have a lot of our own preconceived notions on exactly what it is that a sexual or sensual alchemy may do. But for us who's not aware of what you do, kind of give us some background on how you got into it and exactly what it is.
Sure. So I've always liked sex. I've always been interested in sex. I've always been interested in how people think, in the human body, and sexuality. I've always been interested in witchy stuff, spell work, moon work. That's just part of, and it has led me here. I was a personal trainer, and that had been a dream of mine for a while. I was a huge gym head for a long time, and finally got up the nerve to be a personal trainer, because that involves a lot of sales. And as I was training women, I would find that the conversation would center a lot around their bodies and wanting to be sexy and lose a certain amount of weight and doing all kinds of strange things in the gym so that they would be perceived as sexy. And so starting to have conversations with them, which kind of led me more into life coaching, because I wanted women to understand that they didn't have to put saran wrap around their waist and be on the treadmill for an hour to be sexy, that their sexy was within. And so that kind of branched off into me starting to talk more about the divine feminine and the sacred feminine on Facebook. And then I was invited to speak at the Art of Sacred Sexuality retreat. It was the first one. I'd never met the hosts before. They just liked what I was talking about. And I said, yeah, because I've been feeling this inkling, this itch to I was eking into talking more about like orgasmic energy and power on Facebook, but there was still like a fear. And I was already very open sexually for people who knew me. I felt like sex cured everything. But so I started talking, when they invited me to the retreat, I talked about using your orgasmic power to create your life, because I was combining what I learned studying witchcraft and what I learned studying sex to kind of put that together. And so from there, I ended up studying tantra, which I kind of wanted to study, but I didn't really know the name for it. So I started studying tantra, other forms of sacred sexuality like Taoism and Asian forms. And that just kind of took me down this path where I am now. And yeah, here I am.
Now, orgasmic alchemy, I'm not quite sure what that is, but it sounds great. So kind of give us a little bit more what exactly that is.
Sure. So sensual energy alchemy. So sensual is using all five senses. That's what we're here to do as human beings. We're here living this divine experience in this body, to touch, to smell, to see, to hear, to taste. Like that's why we have our senses, to live our lives in this juicy, pleasure-filled way, right? That's what I believe, that we were here to experience life in this pleasurable fashion. So that's the sensual part. Energy, because we're energetic beings. We are vibrations of energy. We look solid because of our molecules and how closely packed they are together, but we are giant walking batteries. There's electricity running through our brains, and we can direct that energy, alchemy, to change things. In the magical world, it was changing, an iron ore into gold, but alchemy is a process of changing one thing into another. So you take your sensual energy, use it to alchemize and to change your life.
All right. I love it.
Thank you.
So now you said you believe that orgasms can cure a lot of what ails us. So so what are we talking? Like, if someone is going through some kind of pain, have an orgasm and, you get better. Or if somebody, what kind of things can be cured with orgasm?
Yes, Napoleon Hill. Exactly. He speaks about that. Mm-hmm. So, yes, headaches. Actually, women should have sex when they have a headache because it'll help it go away. So one example is menstrual cramps. It's a little different for men. So menstrual cramps for women. If women have sex or masturbate, self-pleasure, while they're having their menses, it will actually help to alleviate the pain of the menstrual cramps. Mm-hmm. There's literally what you're doing. When you go into orgasmic mode, when you're turned on, when you're aroused, in your brain, it starts to block off a certain part of your brain. I want to say it's the reticular something or another. I actually have a video where I literally break down the science of orgasm, but it starts to block off the pain that's in the pain turns to pleasure. Basically, it's one of the reasons why BDSM is such a thing, which I'm in the kink world as well, and I'm poly, so we can talk about all of that.
All right.
But so in BDSM, there's pleasure in the hit, there's pleasure in that pain, right? And so if you're suffering from a menstrual cramp, having an orgasm will switch that and turn that into pleasure, flood your brain, your synapses with dopamine, oxytocin, other feel-good hormones, and it will actually alleviate the pain. So yes, orgasms can do that.
Interesting. I don't want to put our co-host on blast too much, but she said this on the show, so I'm not speaking out of turn, that she would like to go down the BDSM lane. So we have an expert here, so ask her.
Yes.
BDSM route. I said I've done my education lessons on the BDSM route, and as soon as I find a willing participant for the rest of my life, we gonna go down that route together. Yeah.
What's some advice you can give her, being that she's
check out FetLife, FETLIF. Fet short for fetish. Oh, there you go. She good.
I'm not new to this community.
All right.
I just have refrained from being active in communities such as that because like I said, looking for my. Y'all know where I'm going.
I see. I understand. I see a little dom in you, though. I see a little dom in you.
Yeah.
Little femdom.
That's what Ken said. He said I'm bossy.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that all up in there.
Very bossy. Okay, so let's go back to this this notion of curing through orgasmic alchemy, because it's very interesting. The whole thing about I have a headache, I can't tonight, and stuff like that. And so what you're saying is, I just want to make sure it's clear that no, you definitely need to get it in.
No, I really do. Yes, I really do think so. If you have a good partner, I think that sex can make you feel good, and not, it doesn't, it doesn't have to be intercourse, right? There are tons of ways to experience that type of pleasure, to have your partner engage with you and have that pleasure. But the point is that yes, getting into a pleasure zone does help the body to feel better. Absolutely. Yes. Okay.
Now, is there something that you would suggest maybe not having sex during? A full-blown migraine, would that help?
It's hard for me. I can't really think of a reason. Barring some strange, like you're on an operating table. I'm trying to think. No. Obviously everybody, individual, right? I'm not going to be like, you better go have sex. But, no. If you've got blinding, I think I've experienced a migraine once in my entire life, but if you've got blinding migraine pain, there are whole other things that are going on, besides, and an orgasm is only going to be a small little stopgap. So I would not recommend that as the course of action. Right. I would just say that might be helpful for the moment, but there are other things going on.
Okay. Now, sensual body work. What's that exactly?
So we're all a little different in the Tantra community. Most of us started out with Reiki. So I am Reiki level 2. So wanting to be a Reiki master, I'll work on that in 2020. So I'm Reiki level 2, and a lot of us start out with Reiki. So we start out learning energy work. We start out working with the chakras, which are energy centers in the brain for people who may not know. I always explain it as it's like you've got beltways in your body, like people who live in DC or Boston, or I think LA probably has a beltway. Every place has like a beltway, right? So like your chakras are like major beltways in your body, and then you have meridian lines, which are like the highways that feed into the beltway. And so in Reiki and other energy work, you learn how to feel for those energy centers to tell whether they may be blocked, open, closed, whatever have you, and to send energy there. So that's how the sensual body work starts. I combine what I've learned with tantra, meridian points, active tantra, reflexology, to give my clients an orgasmic or a different experience, right? It doesn't have to be orgasmic, but a different experience, because again, when your body's in a pleasure state, then you can heal it faster than if it's tense, right? So my sessions are designed to relax, and then I speak words of affirmation usually into my clients based on what it is that they're looking to heal, because you're in a hypnotic type of state when you're on a massage table, right? If you've just gotten a regular massage, it's just you're completely relaxed. And so that's the perfect time to really infuse your brain with new thoughts, new ideas, to help you to bring out the best in who you are meant to be. So that's what my sessions largely do. It's like a therapy on crack.
Mm.
That's awesome. Now, do you find with your clientele that you have to break down the barriers of communication? Because a lot of times people struggle to communicate their needs to their partners.
Yes. So what I find, so a little difference between, so I work mostly with men on the table, because I find that men respond to the physical. Men need the physical more than the talk, right? Because men are generally in their heads, and they're, and they're not open. And so getting them on the table helps to open them up. My clients have come to me saying they have issues with communicating with women. Not their fault. Like, men just aren't taught how to communicate with women. They're not taught any of the stuff that we as women want them to do. No one's telling them anything. And so there's a lot of confusion, it's like, do I come, do I go? What do I do? So I help them to relax so that I can, again, infuse them with that. But they're fine talking to me, but I'm not like their woman, right? So they don't have that same pressure. Yeah. So it's easy to talk to me.
Okay. So, okay, if someone wanted to be your client, what would the steps be? Like, and what happens when you first meet with you?
So I have an intake form. Well, I have a consultation that is mandatory. And then depending on how the consultation goes, then we proceed with the intake form. I have a client agreement that has to be signed. And in the intake form, I'll ask questions, not too invasive. Like, I don't need to necessarily know like your health history, right? I'm not a doctor, but I will ask you if you're taking any medication. I will ask you what your stress level is. I will ask you what your relationship status is, and if it's ideal for you, I'll ask you about your job. Those things that are stresses in your life. And I'll ask, what are your fears? What would you like to get out of the session? So that's basically what the intake process is. And then from there, we have our session. My sessions are 90 minutes. We do our session, and then I will generally follow up with my clients, a couple of days later, because things come up. Sometimes they come up in the session. Sometimes they come up days later after the session. This is for the men. I'm speaking specifically about the men. Things will come up, for them. For the women, yeah, things come up. But for the men, things will come up for them.
Okay. All right. What kind of person would you suggest really would need to see you? Like, what are the kind of people that come to see you, and who would you suggest should come see you?
Everybody. No, so I work primarily, or try to work primarily with the African American community, because this is so taboo, so different to us, and because we are in need of so much healing. We're still trauma stricken. We've still got PTSD on this side of the hemisphere. We think we don't, but we do. The way our relationships are set up is just, it's crazy. It doesn't feel like it's getting better with the young people watching like all this reality TV garbage and them thinking that this is what it is. And there and now people are realizing there are a lot of men hurting, and I'm not taking anything away from women, because I've been in some situations. I mean, I've been sexually assaulted. You know, we've had some pain, but our pain has been a focus. But the fact that so many boys have been molested has not been a focus, or have been abandoned by their mothers has not been a focus. And it is not the lack of fathers that affects how Black men are treating their women. It's their moms, to be truth be told, because their mothers are showing them how they should treat women, or they're treating them in such a way where they can't stand their mothers, but because it's mommy, they can't dislike her. So they will love and defend their mothers, but they will treat the women that they're with like shit. So I don't know if I can curse now, but I curse. Yeah, they will treat the women they're with like shit, because they have to take out that anger somewhere. So the issues are largely stemming from that. And that's what I really want to begin to work with men on, because there's so many men who were raised by women who just have really, really horrible views of women based on how their mother. I have a neighbor who I hear her yelling at her son every fucking morning. Every morning she's yelling at this boy. I don't even know what he did. And all I'm thinking is, when he's an adult, when he's a man, what kind of relationship is he going to get into? Because he's either going to look for someone like his mother, right, in which he's going to be dominated by a woman, or he's going to take out that aggression on a woman to finally show how powerful he is. Yeah. Wow. So I all that to say is I want men to come to me. I provide a safe space. It's a non-judgment zone. I've had men tell me their bodies have never been touched like that. Their penis has never been touched like that. Because women only touch the penis when they want sex. They touch their bodies when they want sex. They don't get hugs. It's crazy to me. Like, men are touch deprived. You know, because women will hug each other, you know, hey, sis. Dudes are like, yo, what's up, man? And then that's it. So the only time men get touched, that physical intimacy, is through sex, which is why sometimes so many men are trying to run around and have so much sex. Is not because they're dogs. It's just they really would like to have some intimacy, and no one has taught them any other way to do it but sex. So.
Let's talk about that safe space, though. You about to have me holla. Safe spaces are so important. How do you unpack a safe space for them? Because it's obvious that they feel safe with you, but you're the non-biased party. You're not the one that they have to go home and please or get pleasure from. So how do you engage that conversation so that they can then translate that to the spouse or the partner or the significant? Because that needs to be relayed in so many different avenues, and it's not.
So I listen while they talk. And I know sometimes that's difficult in a relationship because there's fear involved, right? I mean, I was married, I'm divorced now, and there's fear involved when you have a situation and you know, you probably want to listen to your man, but like, you're scared either he's not going to do what he said he's going to do. You're scared of disappointment. You're scared he's going to leave you. And so your brain shuts off the listen. And then as women, we just start talking, you know, we start talking and we talk over them and we talk over them. And at the end of what the dude says, like, you know, forget it. And a man saying, forget it, or you're right, is the same thing as a woman saying, like, I'm fine. Right. You just shut it down. Because I'm not in that relationship, I can just let them talk. And when you let a man talk, it all comes out. Like, it's like men can talk. Men can talk, and they just start talking about how they feel, you know, how they either in their relationship or how they feel at work or how they feel walking through the world or their issues with their father and their mother. They just start talking. And so I let them, I give them that space to do that and to get it out. We, you know, either before or after we go through our session, you know, I hold them. It's one of the last things I do as part of my session is I hold the men for like a good 5 minutes.
Wow.
Good 5 minutes. And not just to like a hug, like literally I'm here and his back is against me. So he's leaning against me and I've got my hands wrapped around his chest. like so from front, front to back. And I just let him, they're like, guys will sit like this and I'll take their head and lean it back against me. And it's the most interesting thing. Like their body will just start to like,
relax.
Yeah.
It's like you can let the guard down. That's a safe space for real.
Right. Yeah.
And let me take a moment real quick to welcome everybody in the chat. We have a full house. I see we have Wayne, Keenan, Angie, Taylor. Taylor, I'm going to have to hit you up. D, Mike, my place, Dedrick, Marisol, LA, who we're going to Jamaica together. You're right. Steven, Jada, we got 2 Stephanies, and Danny. Thank you everybody for coming. Now we opened up a seat, so if you guys want to come in and ask Maisha a question, please feel free. She doesn't bite, but me and Shannon do. But you're used to our bite.
I don't.
You're used to us biting them, so please feel free to hop in and ask any kind of questions. Okay, so man, this is really, really great conversation. And one thing about a lot of us guys, there is a lot of pressure on us to be alpha males, to be never show any weakness, true glass, you know what I'm saying? So and for some guys, that pressure of always portraying that, even when you are going through a tough time, whether it could be a loss of a loved one, it could be sometimes you're just not, you don't feel like you can kick the world's ass, and so my question to you is, if you, as a mate, how do you suggest someone helps, how would you suggest a woman helps a man who may be going through a tough time, where he's maybe going through some depression, or he's going through some things?
So I'm a big believer in therapy. I spent a good decade on and off in therapy, complete with suicide attempt and all. So I've dealt with depression. So I always recommend that. Women think I joke, but I tell them, if you would like your man if you feel like your man's not opening up to you, and I know women don't, give him head or have sex with him, seriously, with vigor, like you care, like you love him. And then when it's all over, hold him and ask him what's on his mind. Women, sometimes we think, it's not like that for us, so it shouldn't be like that for them. But I don't care what society keeps trying to tell us, men and women are different. They're different. So my thing is, if you would like him to open up to you, and you can see that he has difficulty with expressing himself, right? Then here's a way that you can use to help him to relax so that he can do that. Over time, it will change, over time it will change. But that's one of the ways that will help him to relax.
Wow. I'm going to cut out like these little parts. So I'm going to be like, my next situation, I'm going to be like, oh, wait, let's go to Maisha, what she says on this topic. I love it. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Abaragari Maisha. Umataka Mzuri Sana.
Oh, see, he's saying things that make me kind of half remember. I was like 5 years old, but they sound familiar.
Marigani, yes.
Yeah.
So did you have a question?
I did, sir. My question for Maisha: do you distinguish between intimacy, sensuality, and sexuality as 3 different things, or do you approach these 3 things as dependent?
So they are 3 separate things. They are also interdependent. Sensuality is the way in which we move through our life, and this is a great question. Sensuality is the way in which you move through our life. It's the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the smells that are on you. Again, it's invoking your five senses. We've used that word to describe sex. Sensuality describes the use of our five senses. It can also be sexual because we are sexual beings. Religion has taught us to separate sex from spirit, which is just the dumbest ever because we got here through sex. So that just makes no damn sense. So sensuality, though, is living through the five senses. Sexuality describes our intercourse, describes that particular act and all of that, or what leads up to that, or the invitation of that, which can also be sensual. Some sex is not sensual. It is not. Intimacy requires no sex whatsoever. Mm-hmm. It's the closeness, it's the connection, it's the conversation, it's the energy vibe that you feel with someone. So they can all be intertwined. Ideally, if you're in a relationship, you would love that mesh, but they are actually three very separate and distinct things.
Taylor wants to know, is kissing sensual or sexual?
It can be both.
Or sexual.
It can be both. It can be both. It can be extremely sensual without sex whatsoever. Hands down, kissing is sensual. Hands down, you are invoking smell and taste and feel and sound. And if you kiss with your eyes open, which a lot of people don't do, but if you did that, I can't. Woof. So it's extremely sensual, and it can also be sexual.
Okay.
I kiss with my eyes open. I don't trust nobody.
What if a mate is a bad kisser? Can someone be helped into being a better kisser?
Yes, the same way you help them do anything, which is through communication, which is one of the hardest things for people to do, is to communicate with each other honestly and openly. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear out there, so people don't communicate clearly. They don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. They don't want to be rejected. So
rejection is real too, especially when you're dealing with sexuality and sensuality and the energy of those things. And creating a safe space. You have to consider your audience, and that vibe is so important.
Yeah. And you can, if you can teach someone that you can teach someone to be a good kisser. It does require conversation. The same thing with anything in sex. It's a little bit of show and tell.
A little bit. Don't show it all.
So some people don't have the
proper lip control.
It's a combination of lip and tongue. It's like, I don't need you.
Yes, I mean, I've had people kiss me who wanted to, I felt like I was being devoured by an alien, right? It's like, it's a whole lot coming at me right there. So it's a whole lot, like trying to take my whole face in, and it's like, whoa, pause. Let's pull it back just a little bit. And I've had some people who want to kiss me, and it's like, and I'm like, okay, you can bring the tongue. You can bring it out. It's okay. We can dance. We can dance. Kissing is dancing to me. It's mouths dancing. That's what it is. I want to dance.
It is. And you can test it
out. A big shout out to Carrie, who came back, and Dr. Vibe, who came in. And Carrie says, you need to figure out kissing before we meet.
Yes.
Well, they say how you kiss is how you sex.
Mm-hmm. So, what about sexual prowess being upgraded? Some people, maybe are late bloomers, I guess. I don't know. So, what do you think about someone who is maybe not great in the bedroom, but they want to get better? So, what are some ways that they can improve their sex game?
So that's always an interesting question, because it's like, according to whom, right? So, because one person's bad sex is someone else's fantasy, because we're all so individual with our sex. But if in general you find that none of your lovers seem to be satisfied, and they've told you that, I would suggest, taking up some books. I would suggest learning something like tantra, because when your energy shifts, your sex no longer matters. Whether we realize it or not, we're attracted to the person's energy, not their sex. We haven't seen a penis. We haven't seen a vulva. They're drawing us in. There's something about them that's drawing us in. And so people who are bad lovers, it's not so much that it's just generally technique, but there's just something about them that just either feels selfish or just feels like they're not engaged, or like they're not communicating, like they're not present, they're not there. It's a whole bunch of other stuff besides their body didn't move right. That's the easy part. So I encourage people to really work on their energy, because that's the thing that if you are the most, if you're whatever unattractive may be for someone, and we all have our feel of what that is, will turn somebody into a looker. Mm-hmm. We've all had that experience where we met somebody and been like, oh no, and then got to know them, and all of a sudden we're like, oh damn, it's the energy of the person.
Okay. Do you get a lot of clients who maybe come to you saying that they need to upgrade their game?
No, not really. People don't come to me to have better sex. I mean, if sex work were legal, and I could be a sex worker, I would. And then maybe they could come to me for that, and we could do a lot of things, and I could show them some things, but I can't show them anything. So, no.
You take like puppets.
I do have a box full of toys, like not full of, but I have sample dildos and vulvas that I've used in my class for oral sex to show people, the anatomy of things during the oral sex class.
Oh, you have a class, oral sex class?
I did, yes, indeed. I did one for men and one for women.
Oh.
Is this a reoccurring class? Because me and Kente gonna come.
So people have asked for it to be reoccurring, and I have to figure out how. I need the mental time and space to do that. I love teaching about oral sex. It is one of my favorite things to do, and I think that and it's healing. It's very healing for both men and women to experience it, and experience it with a partner who enjoys it. So, but yeah, I use toys for that. So on that, I help people up their oral sex game for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. You don't do no grapefruit crap.
I don't, because, and no shade to people who use those type of props. But for me personally, if I'm giving head, I don't have time to cut up a grapefruit. Okay. That's just number one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to make sure I bought the grapefruit. Then I got to go, hold on, baby. Let me go cut the grapefruit. I don't need the grapefruit. That's what deep throating is for. Then the juices are going to get all over the place. It's a big mess. It's just not for me. I'm not saying it's not. I saw the technique. It's cool, but that's basically what you're doing is you're putting a barrier there to make it juicier, but you can learn how to do that with your saliva. And there are tips and tricks on how to take it deeper in your throat. So put the grapefruit aside. Just do it.
Carrie says, I wish there was some kind of head Olympics so we could settle for once.
Yes, who was best?
Hilarious.
That would be awesome.
I would definitely be in attendance.
Coming to you in 2020.
Coming to you, yes.
Now on May 11th, you have an event that's popping off. Can you speak on that?
Yes. So along with Central Energy Alchemy, my other businesses with partners, there are 4 of us that make up the Black Tantra group. And on May 11th, we have the Sensual Reflexology workshop. This is our 4th or 5th workshop. We try to hold them every other month. So Sensual Reflexology, we're going to talk about genital mapping. We're going to talk about how the penis has, in reflexology, the penis has organs that correspond to parts of it that correspond to parts of a woman's vaginal canal. So for instance, the tip of the penis correlates to a man's heart. And the cervix of a woman correlates to a woman's heart. So when his head hits her cervix, it's literally 2 hearts touching each other. Which is one of the reasons why cervical orgasms can be extremely powerful, because you're literally like engaging the energy of the heart. with that. So I just gave the men a lovely tip. Next time you're having sex with your woman, you know, make that cervix feel very happy, and you'll find that she'll make some different types of noises. So we're gonna be talking about that. So we'll be talking about sensual reflexology. So that's May 11th here in New York City from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. But we are also traveling to the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia in July. We will be in, I think, Charlotte in September, and then in Philly in November, most likely. And then we have Detroit and Boston would like us to come. So we'll be, hopefully we can make it out to LA.
That's what's up.
Hopefully we can make it down to Florida. So yeah.
Yes. Come on to Florida.
Let our heart.
Now tell us about where you went when you were in Florida. Tell us about this retreat that you went to in Texas.
Yes. So I love retreats. So I've been to a few. This one was the Art of Sacred Sexuality retreat. I believe they're doing it again this October, and I will be presenting at this one. It will be in Jamaica, according to the website. But the Art of Sacred Sexuality retreat started in 2015. And like I said, I was one of the first teachers there, and then I missed a few of them. But it's a safe space where we come. There are speakers that are there speaking about tantra, relationships. The last one, we did a demonstration on sensual BDSM. I was the model. I was very, very happy to be the model. Yes, we had for the women, we had some belly dancing classes. We had like Qigong. We had exercises at the beach. It was just a beautiful, people think it's like a big orgy when you go to it's not, because here's the thing. When you start studying the energy of sex, you realize you do not want to have sex with just anybody. Like, you want a lot of sex, but you're very particular about the people that you're having sex with, because you want your sex to be really, really good, you know? Yeah. So it was a lot of learning. It's a lot of closeness. It's a lot of bonding. I mean, yes, we did have some very interesting workshops of which you would just have to be there to experience it. We talked about money. We talked about money and sex. They're often closely related. But yeah, and then I went to another sacred sexuality retreat later that year in December, and we did a healing ritual around sexual trauma. That was really powerful, and it was all of us in a room just feeling into our own individual bodies and just exploring our bodies individually. The lights were low, you know, but just shedding the layers of shame and being okay with who we were. That was a beautiful experience. Yeah, but again, no orgies. I mean, there are tons of play parties and swinger parties for that, which are awesome. I love swingers parties. I go to watch. I think they're great, but no orgies at the retreats. Maisha, what do you think about male masturbation clubs? I gotta say, I'm completely ignorant and not sad about that. I need to know what a male masturbation club is, because I
think we all do.
Yeah, that's a men sit around. Oh, you know, well, so look at these faces. I'm so like, yeah. So here's my. I don't think. All right, we're done for the night. No, I don't. Circle jerks. Gotcha. Right now, okay. So here's my thing about men and masturbation, and it's a little different for women. So women were made as pleasure creatures. Our clitoris, as everybody knows, or if they don't know, I don't know why. Our clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings, right? And so it is the only part of the human body that was created strictly for pleasure. It has no other purpose but to give pleasure. The penis has another purpose, right? It secretes sperm, semen. It's for urine, right? But the clitoris has no other purpose than that. The way women's bodies are set up, we can have orgasm upon orgasm upon orgasm. That is how our bodies are created, which is why women are really created to be sensual and sexual creatures. Why our power has been stripped away from us is a whole nother topic of conversation, unless we have time for that here.
Yeah.
For men, it's different. Men are not designed according to Chinese medicine, let's just put it that way. And I believe it to be true, to ejaculate as often as they do. For men, that semen is their life force. It's their chi. It's their, I like to play video games, right? You got so many lives. Every time a man ejaculates his sperm, which is why when men do ejaculate, they're exhausted afterwards. They're exhausted. Women are not exhausted after orgasms. They're tired after sex because it's a physical activity for sure. But women are not depleted after an orgasm. Men are depleted after they ejaculate. So for men, I encourage them to learn how to have orgasms without ejaculating, which is semen retention. And then when men can retain their semen, they hold their chi, they hold their life force, but they can still have multiple orgasms and still enjoy sex without depleting themselves. So I'm not really a big fan of circle jerks simply because it depletes a man's energy. I mean, whether or not men are happy watching some other man get off, I could care less, but it's more the random depletion of a man's battery power. Like, that's your battery pack. Don't just spew that shit out there in the world just to be wiped up by a napkin. That's gold.
Yeah, and that's not an activity you should do with the family. What I mean? I could see playing video games, going to the club, but jerking off with the homies? What kind of shit is that?
Yeah, that's special. That's special.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's crazy though. But hey, man, to each his own. But
So for the beginners, Maisha, what books? I know you mentioned tantra and you mentioned some other things, which a couple of those books I am a fan of. But for people who are just getting into your work, into your art form, into your alchemy, if you will, what would you send them home? Like, I know every good coach sends their clients home with homework. What books do you encourage them to read? What homework do you encourage them to do?
Urban Tantra by Barbara Carrellas is that, yes, see, it is the book I recommend for everyone. It is filled with really cool activities, exercises. It breaks down Tantra in just this regular people way. I've read about Tantra literally from the Eastern perspective, so and the academic perspective. So and it's Tantra's deep stuff. This over here, a lot of people are learning is Neo Tantra, which is kind of like neo witchcraft or neo paganism. It's not quite the same, but it's close. But she takes Tantra and really makes it easy to get at. I can do better than that. Urban Tantra.
Mm-hmm. And I think I have that book.
If I can spell her name right.
I'll even show you the book.
Yes.
I've been reading the wrong books.
So I've got over 20 something books. Like, I've got tons of books. I have books that talk about sex magic. I have books that talk about how to use semen, how women can use semen. Yep, that's it. How women can use semen as an anti-aging. Well, I've got books. So on energy and all kinds of things, so it's good stuff. But Urban Tantra is what I would recommend everybody start with if you're interested in learning about this at all. As for exercises, real simple. Hug your partner. Hug your partner and breathe together, and hug for like a good 60 seconds. And that's a long time for a lot of people because we really don't hug that long at all. But hug with purpose. Like, you hug them and you just breathe together and watch and see how your breathing will start to sync up together. Watch how your energies sync up together. Another fun exercise for people who are new to energy work or new to this idea that we are energy beings is to play with your own energy. You can rub your hands together, and spread them apart, and you can start to just slowly come in, and you'll feel this tingle in the center of your palm. That's your energy, right? And you can practice that with your partner. You can rub your hands together and then hold your hands out to your partner and practice that, and practice just following each other's energy, like have them move their hand and you move your hand with it. As far as trust, blindfolding each other is always a great activity. Blindfolds are great for trust, or closing your eyes if you have blindfold issues, and having them lead you around the house. These are small things that build trust and connection between you and your partner.
Wow.
So yeah.
And it heightens that central energy. And five senses are so important to me because I use it on a creative level. I give gifts from the five senses. And so when you do stuff like that, you challenge people to think outside of what they do every day. I don't need you to see right now. I need you to trust that I am going to do what's right for you, that I'm going to put you in a place where we can vibrate higher or elevate ourselves together and create this level of intimacy that's safe and inviting and is releasing something greater for the both of us. Like, I'm here for it. So when is this class again? Because we need to be there.
Yes. Yeah, this one's May 11th in New York City. I don't have any online classes coming up right now. I'm closing the doors. I do have a program, but I'm literally closing the doors tomorrow. So if anyone is interested, you've got till tomorrow night, like this time, to get in. It's called Orgasmic Alchemy. It's 5 weeks of pleasure and creation. Literally, this program is built around masturbation. So the women, it's women. We start May 6th. So I've already got 20 plus women in the program, which is a good amount. So it's going to be 5 weeks. I'll do a live video each week on Zoom. So it doesn't matter where you are. So I do a live video each week. I'll talk about some aspect of it. The first week, we're gonna just go over your yoni, which is your vulva. You're gonna get in touch with her, literally and figuratively. We're gonna go over ideas about sensuality and sexuality. We're going to talk about breathing. I'm going to show the woman how to breathe. You can actually have an orgasm through breath work. So I'm going to show the woman how to breathe. I'm going to show the woman how to write affirmations. And I'm going to show the woman how to create, because that's what I use to create my life. I literally, if y'all knew I've been homeless. I've been on SNAP. I've been on, like, the government knows me well. I've been on welfare. And I've literally used the orgasmic energy to create something. I create money, like it just comes in. Like I don't even worry about it anymore. I really don't.
Wait, so you do masturbation?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
It's a little different for men.
Oh, so I can't pay my bill?
Because I don't want you to lose your seed.
Oh.
I don't want you to lose your seed. So you would want to draw the energy up into you to power your masculinity. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
right?
So it's not that you can't use masturbation as a way for you to boost what you want and to think, to have happen what you want to have happen. And the reason why this, and I'm gonna give you all this tidbit now, but we'll talk about it in the program. The reason why I ought to be rich. I do make it appear. The reason why this works is because during the moment of orgasm, there's literally a shift in your brain. Like I said before, it stops thinking. Your frontal lobe shuts down. So there's no thought process to tell you can't do something. And so you're rewiring your brain at that time. You're rewiring it with this new thought at that time. And so you're literally retraining your brain and the way your brain thinks without having your ego interfere and say, how is that going to happen? I can't do it. All these other things that our ego will tell us it's not possible, right? You create space for the unknown to do what it needs to do. So I've literally, been doing that. So that's what we're going to learn in Orgasmic Alchemy. That's what I'm teaching the women over the next 5 weeks. The last program I did was Solstice Alchemy, and it was a 40-day journey. And a woman who's a business owner, she had her first 20K month in her business doing the things that I was suggesting to do in the program. So
Now,
That's awesome.
there's something that I definitely want you to speak on, and
Yes.
I think that I don't want to not finish this program without talking about it. A lot of Black people don't realize that what you're speaking on is, like, some people think it's some crazy white people stuff, or it's some Chinese Buddha stuff, but they don't realize that it comes from us. And
Yes.
so can you speak on that a little bit?
Yes, it does. And as a matter of fact, I am planning a trip. And I want us to say, I don't know how, I don't need to know how the money's going to come. I'm planning a trip to Ghana next year, me and my children. And one of the things that I want to do while I'm there is find some places we're not going to be there very long, but dig into sacred sexuality. A lot of what was taught on the continent of Africa, is the book right there? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt the broadcast there. I was going to see if I could find the book. I can't.
I have sexuality and sacred marriage.
No, there's a book. Oh gosh, I can't remember it, but it's Nigerian. It talks about the Rwandan sacred sexuality practices and how they revere the women and the clitoris and what they do in terms of boosting her sexuality, right? So a lot of the sacred sexuality practices on the continent have either stayed hidden or they were completely destroyed by colonialism, right? And then taken over by Christianity. And so even some of our brothers and sisters there have now had this idea that, the sex is this dirty thing, or it's only for such and such, but that's not the culture that it was. Yes, this started on that continent. The SMI, I'm learning this from a sacred sexuality class that I'm taking now with a friend of mine who we have both studied Tantra. She took it further toward the indigenous route. I've been studying it more from the Tibetan Buddhist and Asian route, but now I'm being called to learn from the indigenous route as well. But the Smai Twi, that's something that is a form of sacred sexuality that's on the continent of Africa that she's currently been studying. So yeah, this is not crazy. This is what we've always known. This is it's how we operated. We just didn't put names to all of this because it just was. With the Native Americans, it just was. If you look at their ancient drawings and depictions of I know there's one in particular that I saw in a program that I took of a woman whose legs were spread and like this light coming out of her. This is like drawn on a wall. And the men were there, because it was her vaginal power, her pussy power, that was going to help the crops grow, or help bring the rain, that type of thing. So this has been going on for millennia. We're just now getting a whiff of it, with our small, narrow-minded behinds over here in the West. But they've been practicing this for the longest time. And the people who have learned Tantra, especially in India, are the darker people. They've got colorism just like we do. So they always put their light-skinned folks in Bollywood, just like we do over here. But it's the dark and blue-black people in southern India and, in those countries, in those areas that have been practicing this since forever. So this is not new. This is not some new thing. This is old. This is very old.
Very old.
This is who we are.
Very old. I mean, you can go back even further but ancient Egypt, for example, Cleopatra, way before her, So, and there's records of all of this. And the thing is, we don't really, as Black people, understand where we come from, like in totality. I don't mean just like West Africa or wherever, but like our history. And once we understand that this is us, a lot of this stuff is us. Outside of this, a lot of this came from us. And we need to understand that and not be so afraid of these things, because these are your ancestors, so I love it. I love what you do. As you know, I'm your biggest fan, and I realize that this generation of listeners and whatnot hadn't had the opportunity, the pleasure of seeing you. And I'm going to once again put her Twitter and her Instagram in the chat room, and it's in the show notes as well. Please make sure you follow her on both platforms as well as her website as well. I think a bunch of people are following her because
yeah, you want to check out my Instagram. I do these really sensual stories Monday through Friday where I'm topless.
Oh yes, well, we follow.
yes, you wanna check that out. Definitely, you want to check that out for sure. So,
Check me.
but
I made the right decision.
but I feel so blessed that in these platforms that I've had the chance to meet such wonderful people, and I really love what you do. I mean, it's really amazing, and like these conversations, we just don't have,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's important. Or we don't have them. I feel like the right way,
Right.
So like I said, thank you so much. Real quick, if anybody has any questions before we say goodbye, the seat is open. Come in. We promise nobody will bite.
You can't make those kind of promises, but
right.
I don't bite. I do lick, but I'm not a biter. I'm a licker.
Yeah.
Hey,
Jada, the birthday girl.
Hey, I just gotta make sure I'm like, because I'm naked. So hold on one second.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Jada always naked.
Yeah, I am. Oh wait, it's on Thursday. So thank you guys. I wanted to know, do you do one-on-one sessions?
Yes, I do. I do energy work in person, and I also do coaching sessions.
Where in Harlem are you? Like, I mean, like, do you have a place that like?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So that's what. Okay.
So I do my sessions in Union Square.
Okay. So I'll contact you via IG or Twitter. Okay.
I love women. The women clients. I had a woman client just this past Sunday. I did a wonderful yoni massage for her. For those who don't know what a yoni is, it's the Sanskrit word for your vagina. So yeah. I was stroking her G spot. Just helping her relax and open up.
Yeah. Sometimes we need that.
Yeah.
I feel
that's
that.
right.
And so it's that the feminine energy that just where you're flowing. So I recently, within like the last year, I started where it's like where I started meditating, getting in tune with myself and on a different level. So sexually, just from years ago, but on a different level, I feel like mentally and spiritually since last year. And it's just really different. I will say that. And it's beautiful on another level, like that I've never experienced. I will say that. Just falling in love with myself all over again in a different and mature way. And so, yeah, I love everything that you're saying. So, yeah.
Thank you. You know what? Just last year over the summer was a huge. If you study, I'm not an astrology expert, but last summer was a lot of shit going on with all the planets, and it was really heavy. Mm-hmm. Like 2018 could keep itself and never come back. It was really heavy, but it was pulling back a lot of layers from a lot of us, and we came out of it feeling so much lighter. And we're about to go through a season right now over the summer where Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto are all in retrograde, which is going to cause us to really look at our shadow selves. What are we really afraid of? Who do we really want to be? What do we want to be responsible for? But it's going to be on a lighter level. But last year, that was heavy.
Yeah, no, I'm here for it.
Yes. Awesome. All right. I can't wait to meet you.
Yeah. So, well, thank you.
All right.
Yay.
And Jada, well, I don't think you're not going to be on Thursday, right? Oh, wait. When's her show? Wednesday? Thursday?
Tomorrow?
Thursday. Because it's her birthday. So
Thursday.
So you're going to be on the following week, though, right?
No, but I'll be on tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Wednesday. Now you guys do that.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
And then so what I will say this, you guys, the week after next, I'm going to have because I'm traveling that Wednesday. So whenever I get to my resort, I will have a birthday Get Vocal. And I want all of you guys just like a birthday celebration on Get Vocal is what I mean while I'm in Jamaica. So yeah, we'll do that like on live, but tomorrow. So catch my show, you guys, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I will. That's for sure. And real quick before we go, anybody else have anything? The floor is yours. All right, Danny.
All right. She must have drank her V8.
Yeah, I'm actually braiding my hair, so I've been listening. You are awesome. I just want to know, how can you read like a person's sexual energy?
How do you read a person's sexual energy?
Or do you have any books that can help you? Because sometimes I feel like I pick up on energy, but I don't really know how to interpret it.
So you're already empathic and you're latent psychic. I wouldn't suggest that you read any books on it. It's just going to confuse you. You're looking for the academic for what's already inside you. You know, you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
what you're feeling is what it is.
Okay.
Trust you, because I do readings too.
Okay.
So I do, right? Because it helps in my line of work. So I read people, I feel them, and your energy's real strong. Like, it's real strong.
I do have strong energy. I get told that all the time, but I mean,
you don't need to. You're looking for like okay, what's the right way to do this? And spirit is already telling you there's no right way. You're already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So what you're picking up on, trust it. Because the times when you pick up on it and you don't trust it, you're like, damn, I knew it, and you didn't listen, right?
Yeah. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So just trust it. Ooh, girl, yeah, you gotta, yeah.
All right, thank you. You'll be hearing from me too, because you know.
Okay.
All right, sis. It was nice meeting you. It was a great show.
Same here. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, wow, she's amazing. She's got amazing, like, whew.
Yeah.
Like, I felt her all up my spine.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go on, Danny.
That is definitely a classic Danny reaction. Feeling her all in your spine.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Oh, your audience is great.
Oh yeah, I knew they was gonna love you. Okay, so how can we reach you in social media, your website, and what should we be on the lookout for?
So you can reach me at Sensual Energy Alchemy across everything. I like to make it really easy: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, I have a Tumblr account, but fuck them, because now you can't post like the cool shit anymore. So yeah, that's where I'm mostly at. Instagram, I'm on the most. You'll see me posting there and putting things there the most. And then you can always reach out to me via email, info@sensualenergyalchemy.com, and the website is sensualenergyalchemy.com.
All right, and Shannon, how can people get you on social media? And tell us about Sunday.
Okay. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Shannon Ford like the president, -Jefferson like the president.
Let me go look you up now.
And then books. I'm a poetry writer, published author, 5 books, all on Amazon. Working on my 6th. Sunday, well, actually, let's pause. Tomorrow, I'll be on Dr. Vibe Show talking about 2 of my favorite topics: domestic violence and human trafficking. Friday, I'll be on Melvin's show talking about mothers who haven't given birth to children, but still parent, which will be a very interesting topic. Giving my line of work prior to the current line of work. And then on Sunday, the premiere of my show, A Set Apart Woman, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it'll be a really good conversation with 2 ladies who are mothers. And all month it'll be mothers on each show on Sunday. So I'm really excited. Yeah. What about you, Kente? What you got going on? How can we follow you?
Before I say that, I'm very excited for you, Shannon. You know that even though I give you all kinds of heck, that I think very highly of you, Shannon. So looking forward to all that you do, and we'll be there to support you. All right. So you can get me at Kente F on Twitter. And also you can get me at Kente Ferguson, that's FERGERSON, on Instagram. And then our website, indyradio.org. It's INDYradio.org. We're doing some maintenance. It'll be up hopefully tomorrow. That is where you can get all of the information about all the programs that we're doing. And welcome Anthony, who just came in free.
Super late.
So we will be back next Monday with an all new episode of Men and Women Talk, Mars Venus Show. Thank you so much. You guys were amazing, and
thank you, Maisha.
God bless.
Thank you guys for having me. I love your audience. You guys are awesome. You really are. And thank you guys so much for having me on. This is a great time.
So I will get in touch with you so we can have you on my show and set up our